All right, awesome. Let me just cancel out of this, cancel out of that. I don't know why the stream is so slow, but he should be able to see me and you should be able to see my face. Okay, I'm going to continue to go. So if you do this, I promise you, if you do these 3 ABC steps, you are going to have a successful transaction, at least paperwork wise. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to create the loop. So how do you do that? Again, on the right-hand side, remember what I said, 90% of what you're going to need in Dotloop is blue. It's going to be on the right-hand side. You're going to add a loop. And here you can put in the MLS address or the MLS number. But what we're going to do for this training purposes, we are going to type out the address. And we do ask that you do not just type in the street. With over 800 agents, and we're in, I think, 6 states, you want to be able to put in the state, the entire address. So we're going to put in, okay, and then we're just going to hit again, continue. It's blue and it's on the right-hand side. Now, if I try to hit continue here, it's going to give me a warning that you must pick a loop template. So what we've done in Dotloop is we've created for you all these templates. So we only have the appropriate paperwork in here. So there is a arrow down. See, we have Massachusetts listing. So if this house is in Massachusetts and you're the listing agent, all the paperwork that you're going to need is in here with no extra paperwork. If you're a buyer agent, you're going to want this one because a buyer agent doesn't need an exclusive right to list, and that form will not be in your buyer template. But we do have rentals for Mass. This is the landlord one. This is the tenant one. We have also commercial. We have New Hampshire, and there is more. All you do is just slide down. And so we have New Hampshire listing, New Hampshire buyer, New Hampshire rental. We have Maine listing. We have Maine buyer. We have Rhode Island listing, Rhode Island buyer, Connecticut listing, Connecticut lease, Florida, and so on. So what you're going to do here for this training purposes, I am going to pick Massachusetts listing. And now when I hit continue, it's going to allow me to continue. You can upload a photo of the house. It's very easy. You just click on this. You just search where you have that photo in here. I'm just going to add any photo. I'll add the lion. Now it's only going to do landscape photos. So this is a portrait photo. And most of the time when you do a house, it is going to be landscape. So let me just see if I can get something that's a little better. We're going to change the photo. Let me try to do the eagle. I'm not sure if this is going to work. Image is too small. All right, let me try again. Let me see. I usually use the little, let's just do this one. Hopefully this will work. It's too small. All right, one more time. I should just go with what I always do every time I train this, then it would be easier for me. Let me see. So we got this one. There we go. So basically the photo is landscaping, not portrait. And then you're just going to hit done. So what it's doing now is it's making your folder and putting in the necessary forms for a listing. So if I was an agent, I would definitely fill in this status right here. We're going to say it's an active listing, or it might be pre-listing. Maybe you don't have the listing yet. And I would definitely put in, if you've done your homework, which you should have done before you meet with your clients, you have an estimated of where you think the listing price is going to be. You can always change that. So now this is like having the folder closed. If you've been in real estate for any length of time, you used to go to the office, get a manila folder, and you used to write the address on the outside. This is what that's like. And once I want to view the loop, it's like opening up the folder. And now I'm looking at all of the paperwork that I would have gone to the form section in your office, and you would have filled, got all the forms that you needed. So that is how you create a loop. That's part A of how to set up your loop for success. Then what we're going to do is you've created the loop, but this next step is very important. And I ask you, please do not skip this step. The next step is very important. And I'll tell you why. We're going to add the people to the transaction right up front. So if you just scroll down here, you're going to see people. Now, if you're a listing agent, when you sign up, this is you right here, but notice how it doesn't have you as a role. So you need to pick the role. This is vital because all of the forms that you need to sign, it will not assign your name if you don't pick a role. So I'm going to put that I am the listing agent. You never have to add the admin for your office. They will automatically be added. And so what you need to do is we're going to add you as a role. And now I'm going to add our seller. It's very easy. I don't know if you saw that, but I'm going to just do it again. You're just going to add a person. Again, it's a blue link on the right-hand side of the screen. And then you're just going to type in your client's name and you're going to put in their email address and you're going to assign them a role because if you do not assign them a role, when you send them the exclusive right to sell the agency disclosure, maybe lead paint, it's not going to have a signature assigned to them to sign, and then you're going to have to do a lot of extra work. So we are going to put Mary Glavy as the seller. This will open up because according to the state, this is required for the brokerage to have her phone number and where Mary actually lives, because we all know that the property address that Mary wants to sell and the property address she lives in could be two different addresses. I highly suggest that you do fill this in because more than likely you're going to have this information when you're setting this up. We need the phone. We don't need the company, but we do need her street. So I'm just going to put her living at another street. You need the street number and name separated. I'm going to have her living at Maple Street, and I'm going to have her living in Long Meadow instead of where she is selling the property. And you need the zip code. This is all required by the state of Massachusetts. We do not need the cell phone number. Please put the number, either cell or landline, up here, and you're going to add the person. So if you go down to the people section here, now you see that you have Mary as the seller and you as the listing agent. So that's step B of how to set up your transaction for a perfect transaction. Before we go into the section C of filling out the paperwork and then sending it to your client, I just want to let you know that a lot of people, we get a lot of questions. They don't want to add the buyer agent here because they think that if they add a person to the loop, the person will be able to see everything in the loop. That is not true. So add the buyer agent. Just make sure you're giving them the role as the buyer agent. Add the selling attorney, because you know you're going to be sending a lot of paperwork to their paralegal. Add them. They're not going to be able to see everything in your loop. Okay, they're only going to be able to see what you share with them. There is one little caveat to that, though. I'm going to add a person, and if you ever add somebody to a team, that's when they can see everything in the loop. So my suggestion is you never ever check this off unless you have a transaction coordinator that you pay, because they are going to be able to see everything in your loop. So the only other time I would actually check this off is if you have a team and you're the team leader, and every time your team member creates a loop, you want to be able to see it. That's when you want to add the team leader and you would add them as a team. That's the only two times you would ever check this off. You never, ever check this off as your clients, because your clients are clients. They're not team members. And okay, so I just wanted to go over that. So then the third step in setting up your loop for success is you're going to notice you're going to go up here and you're going to fill out all of the forms. Now, please notice that these are required. Now, the listing agreement is required in the state of Massachusetts. The mandatory agency license is required by the state. This is a required by layer. Now in Maine, we are waiving this. Okay, this is just a letter that just explains to our clients that Stacy has affiliated business arrangements with Coast to Coast Closing and New World. They don't have to use us. They can use us. They don't have to use us, but it's just, this is a layer document. Now, so let's just click on these and it's gonna, I'm clicking on that. And now notice it's saying, do you want us to autofill, because Dotloop is thinking for you and says, hey, I see that you have a seller named Mary and you are the listing agent. Do you want me to autofill this? Now you could put in the property that we're actually selling here, but I'm just going to tell it to autofill for us. Now notice how I love this too, because it automatically put Mary, because we gave her the role as the seller. Now, if Mary had a very long, complicated name to spell, this is going to save you so much time every time you have to fill out a form. If you put it in once correctly under the people section, it'll always be spelled right. So, and then this is all interactive fields. So you could just type in here, you're going to say hereby acknowledges that the report does or does not have recording devices. This is big. This is going to be a big issue coming up, so I definitely do that. Check it off. But then all of this here is your percentage. So commission. Now notice how this is the new form, and I wanted to stop here. This is the new form with the brokerage filled out. So this is the percentage of this. So 3%, Mary's going to be paying 3% of the net of the sale price to Lair. Okay, we don't do a flat fee. You should probably stay away from this flat fee. I think maybe this flat fee is just if you're doing an entry only, but as a real estate agent, I don't know why you would do entry only, but okay. So then here is the buyer broker's fee. This is the new form. And so now agrees and authorizes the listed broker to offer. The seller is saying, yes, we are offering a co-broke. Okay. The seller is willing to pay a buyer broker's fee or does not authorize. Okay. So you need to check that. This is a new form, and then additional terms here. Now, Stacy has gone over this quite often, and this is where you're going to put unrepresented buyers. Stacy has gone over this quite often in her trainings, and she feels that one of the biggest things that we're going to come up against as agent are these unrepresented buyers. So here you're going to put you will receive, Lair will receive 2% for unrepresented buyers. So, or whatever the word language, Stacy will have the correct language to put in here, but you want to put this unrepresented buyers because you, if somebody does come and they're not represented and you're going to do the paperwork, you're going to file the, do the purchase and sale and send it to the attorney and everything, you should get compensated for that. So that's where you would put this additional terms. And notice how Mary can sign here. Now, before I send this to Mary, this is how easy it is to sign these. You just hover over this, put sign now. Because I gave myself the role as the listing agent, it has adopted my signature. If you do not give yourself a role, you're going to have to do a lot of extra work. You're going to have to go up here, add signature, drop it, then assign it. It's a lot of extra work. So what we're going to do is we're not going to save and share, and I'm going to explain that. So we're just going to save this. And now we're going to go back and fill out another one. It's just saying you have not shared it. Would you like to share? It's just giving you a reminder. And now I want you to see how it goes from required to not submitted. So you filled that one out. I'm just going to do this one really quick. Again, you just click on it. We are going to have it autofill. This is the mandatory agency disclosure. Because we use this form for both buyer and seller, you have to check off this. We cannot check it off for you. We have checked off designated agency because in the state of Massachusetts, You are only a designated agency if you work for Lair, and you're going to say you represent the seller, and you're going to sign here. Now notice how it has my name and it has my license number, because as an agent, I went into my account and my profile and I inputted this and saved it. So I will never have to write this again. You do have to write check if you're a broker or salesperson. Notice how Mary can sign here. She is our seller. Now, Dotloop defers to 2 buyers and 2 sellers. So if you only have one, you just one buyer or seller, you just click on the one that doesn't have her name. You go over here up to assign to, and you're going to assign that to no one. And now you're going to save that. And so now we're going to go. It's just asking me if I want to share. No. And now we're going to go. And as a listing agent, we are going to share these documents with my client. The reason I didn't fill it out and then share it is because if I did that, it would send 3 different emails. So it'd send, this would be an email with them to sign, and this would be an email, separate email with them to sign. If I do it this way, it sends all of the paperwork that I need my client to sign in one email. So let's just fill this out real quick. I'm just going to have Mary autofill that. There it is. Mary's going to autofill that. And we're going to save that. And now we're going to send these all at once in one email to our client to sign. So how do you do that? You're just going to click what you want to sign. You're going to see a big, huge share button show up right here. Again, it's going to be blue and on the right-hand side. And there it is. There's the share button. So I'm going to share in one email these 3 documents. And if there was lead paint, there would be 4 with our client. So when I hit the share button, it automatically opens up. Dotloop has an email system built in. So that's what it opens up. It opens up the email system. It already checked off Mary Glavy because we gave Mary Glavy the role as the seller. So it knows that Mary Glavy has to sign these documents. So not only has it checked off it to Mary, but it also gave her the privilege of to sign. And then all you have to do is just write, hello, Mary, please sign docs. Or you could write, call me if you have any questions. Now, before we share those 3 docs with her, I want to talk about this. Excuse me. Attach as a PDF to email. I always highly suggest that agents check this off. What does that do? That gives your client 2 ways to view the document. Number 1, they can view it through Dotloop, which is automatic signatures. Or number 2, they can view them as a PDF. So if they ever want to forward the email to their attorney or their children before they sign anything, you can forward it without changing or messing up the document. So I highly recommend this before you share it. Excuse me. So now I am going to share that with Mary. And you notice it says this document has been shared. So we're going to hit done. And now it went from not shared to waiting on others. This is really important because maybe you sent an extension to the listing agent and you want to know if they read it. Or you need your client to sign the extension. And if you go into Loop and it says still waiting, you're like, okay, you could go in and reshare these documents. You just go into your mail and you can reshare these documents. So you can just check them and we can share again. Here it says reshare and more options. So that's what you would do if you needed, if you saw that either your client didn't sign something and you're waiting for it, or they didn't get it. They said, hey, I didn't get it. What you could do is hit this reshare button and it'll reshare it. So, and then you just check it off. It's very easy. Just follow the prompts. I just don't want to do that now. So right here, now this is going to change from waiting on others. And when Mary Glavy signs this, you will get an email saying that so-and-so Mary Glavy signed the exclusive agreement. Mary Glavy signed the mandatory agency. And this is going to change from waiting on others to sign. So that's section one. I'm going to pause here in case anybody has any questions, because I like to pause in between to make sure anybody has any questions whatsoever on what I just taught about and how to set up your transaction for success. I promise you, if you do those 3 steps, number one, create the, so the 3 steps are, you want to create the loop. You want to, number 2 is create the loop, add the people with the roles. That's very important. And then number 3 is, step 3 is fill out paperwork and share. So those are your 3 steps on how to create a loop without any, with success. So we're just going to refresh the page here. And you're going to see that Mary, our client, signed it. So we went from not submitted or required to waiting on others to sign. So now I'm going to go into how do you submit your paperwork for review. At Lair, we do ask our agents to do 2 things. Number 1 is to put in a check request. Where you would go for that is you're just going to go to lairrealty.com/check request. And then you're going to go and you're going to submit a loop for review right here. Okay. So we do ask the agents to do this. Another question is that we get, when should you submit a loop for review? That's a very good question. The great thing about Dotloop, if it's the same answer, if you're a listing agent or a buyer agent, you want to submit your loop for review and put your check request in after purchase and sale. You've received all funds and you've passed inspections. Well, you say, well, it's not going to close for 4 weeks, but that's okay, because what that does is when you make a check request, it notifies the accounting department, but the accounting department doesn't do anything until they get notification from the Dotloop compliance team that the loop has been approved. So we ask that you submit your loop for review and make a check request at the same time, which is after inspections and purchase and sales are out, are signed, and we have all incoming, we have received all monies. Now, what we've created in here for you, for in every state, is we have this little folder in here called the pending checklist. By the way, if you just click on a document, hold and drag, you can bring it to the front, which I love. And we're going to click on this because, okay, we're going to autofill this, because this is what we need in the state of Massachusetts in order for the Dotloop team to approve the loop. So if you have all of this in your loop and it's fully executed, okay? We have a lot of them in here, but they're not fully executed. You will get a approved loop by the Dotloop team. These are going to change as of August 17th, because on the buyer now, as of August 17th, a buyer agency contract is required. So this is, if there is one in the state of Massachusetts, but now it's going to be required. So this will be a required document. So let's just go over this real quick. You need agency disclosure. You need the signed offer. A lot of agents will not have a fully signed offer because they go right into purchase and sale. I don't personally think that's a good, remember, you have fiduciary duty to protect your client, and you should get your offers fully executed, okay? They will approve a loop as long as they have a fully executed sale, purchase and sale agreement with all addendums. However, again, especially rejections, if your offer is not accepted, this is proof that the listing agent presented your offer to the seller and the seller rejected it. This is, you should definitely have signed offers in there. Purchase and sale agreement. We usually get purchase and sale agreements, but this is where we don't get addendums. Okay, there's an extension. The price has changed. Maybe you're adding somebody or taking somebody off of the purchase and sale. All of those become part of the purchase and sale, and therefore all of the addendums need to be fully executed. Buyer contract as of August 17th is going to be required. Seller's description of property in Massachusetts, that is not required. However, in Connecticut, and New Hampshire it is, and I believe it's also required in Maine as well. Lead paint only required if built prior to 1978. This is a required form, the affiliated business arrangement disclosure, except for in the state of Maine. Okay, let's just go over this. For the list side, you need agency disclosure, listing agreement. Okay, these are the short versions. You all know what they are. It's not the like mandatory agency disclosure license. It's agency disclosure. So license, listing agreement, purchase and sale agreement, again with all addendums, seller disclosure. Okay, in the state of Massachusetts, not required. However, if your seller has filled it out and it's signed by the seller, it will be required, because, and it should be posted on your listing with the lead paint, because your client, remember, a fiduciary duty, you're protecting your client filled it out. And so the buyer should need to have this and should be posted along with the lead paint on the MLS. Again, in Massachusetts, that's only if your seller filled it out. Again, in Connecticut, New Hampshire, and I believe in Maine, this is a required document. Signed offer, lead paint, copies of all deposit checks, and affiliated business. So if you have all of this in your loop fully executed, you should not have a problem with our compliance team at all. They should absolutely be able to approve your loop. So you've gone in here and you said, okay, I do have that. Now we're going to submit the loop review. So again, on the right-hand side of the screen, it's blue. And this is a pop-up window saying that before you can submit this loop for review, there's information needed. Remember, I put in the address of where Mary lived. I never inputted the address of the property she was selling. And so we also need in here the year built and the MLS number. So this is just a pop-up window, okay? This is not where you input the information. So we're gonna X out of here and we're gonna go to view details. I'm gonna pause here because this is one of the number one questions we get through Happy Agent. Anything when you hit review, submit for review, anything that is required, you're gonna exit out of there, and this is where you input all of that information. Here's our seller, if it was missing the seller information, but we did put in her address, so, and her phone number, so we don't need to edit that. But we do need to edit this down here. And if you search here and you have the address all here on one line, it has to be broken down. So we are selling this 123 North Main Street. It has to be broken down by street number, street name. I don't know why, but please just do that. And we don't need the unit number, but we definitely need the town, and the state is Mass. Okay, zip code. Oops, too many numbers. And this is where you're going to MLS number. Now you could, if it's a non-MLS, it will take letters. So you could type non-MLS. This is very important because if the state comes in, they come and they ask, they want a list of all our listings that have been built prior to 1978. This is why this is so important, because this is how we create the report. You have to put the MLS in. And you have to put the year built. So for here, we're going to put that this was built in 2002. So we're not going to need lead paint. Just make sure you hit save. And now you can either hit submit for review here, or you can go back to, either way, you can submit it right. You're going to go back to our dashboard, just right here to the folder. And now we're going to hit to submit for review. Okay, yeah, I didn't put in the MLS number, so it's asking me for that. So we have to go in here and I have to go back to the property address and put in the MLS number. There it is. Just make sure you hit save. And now I'm going to go back to your loop, and this is why, because when I hit submit for review, it's going to, you have two folders in here. You have the listing folder and you have other important document folder. What we've placed is 95% of everything you're going to need is right here. You're not going to have to be looking for any other forms, but just in case, we put a backup important forms down here. So you have two folders in here. And so when you hit submit for review, it's going to ask which folder do you want to submit for review. Oops, sorry, submit for review, right here. See, it's asking new folder, listing folder, or other important document folder. I accidentally made this new folder. We're going to get into that in a little bit. So I only want the Dotloop team to see where I put all of the information that was on that pending checklist. So it's going to be in the listing folder, and I'm going to say it's a listing review, and I'm going to submit for review. Now, you're going to see, this is how you know that it went through. It went from not submitted to submitted. This becomes very important because if you're a very busy agent and you're selling more than one house a month, you may not remember if you submitted the loop for review. All you have to do is open up the loop and you'll see right here, oh, I submitted this. Great. I don't have to do it. So that is section 2 of our training. I am going to pause here to see if we have any questions. If you have any questions, just put it in the chat. And I'd love to answer your questions for you. So that is section 2 on the training, and we're going to keep going because it doesn't look like we have any questions. And so now this is my favorite section. Section 3 is all these tips and tricks for you. Like I created this folder, but there's nothing in the folder. So I just want to delete this folder. If you hit these 3 dots here, it's going to give you a bunch of, I'm going to archive that. I don't need to see that. Okay, so I'm going to continue on to our third section of training, and that is my favorite section. So how do you add folders to a loop? Now, why would you add a folder? Well, maybe you have backup. You have backup offers. So I'm going to add a folder and I'm going to name this folder. If you just take it and hold it down, you can rename it and you can write backup offers. And now you can upload, and I'm going to go into this, the 3 ways you can upload all of your backup offers into this loop, and it gets it out of your main folder. Okay, so you really want to keep your main folder, everything you're actually working with, who you're working with here, and you want to put your backup folders here, but offers here. But the great thing about that, if this all ever falls through, you have all the information right here to contact those agents through Dotloop. So now that brings me to how do you add a document to a folder? Okay, so maybe, so here's the 3 options. If you click on add a document, if you click on add a document, it's going to give you 3 options in every folder. Okay, so your 3 options are you can add it through templates. These are all your interactive forms. So let's say this is your listing, but you have a buyer that you think is going to be very interested in that. What I would do is I would add a folder and name it buyer folder. And now I want to add a template. I added templates and I'm going to go to Massachusetts layer and I'm going to write contract to purchase. So here it is. And notice how this is the new one. So I'm going to put this in that buyer folder so that my client can fill it out. So a lot of people ask the question, if I have the buyer and I have the listing, do I have to make 2 loops? No, you do not have to make 2 loops. What you're going to do is make a folder that says buyer folder, and everything that your buyer needs to sign will be here, and everything that your listing your seller needs to do is sign here. The only thing you have to remember is when you're submitting for a review and you're both sides, you have to submit both the buyer folder and the listing folder. A great thing about this is I can move it. I want my backup offers on top. I want my buyer and my listing folder close together. All you do is you just click on the folder, hold and drag to where you want it. So here's your buyer folder here. So you can just move it where you want it. So I like that feature. So, and so that's how you add a folder here. So we put this contract in here. Another way of doing it is through your browser. So say you want to just browse, you've downloaded it somewhere in your PDFs. So I'll just put downloads. Here's an exclusive right to list agreement. I'm just going to put it there. So that's another way you just browse. These have to be PDFs. Okay. So a lot of agents are taking photos of signed documents, and that will not take a photo. It has to be a PDF. This is more professional. You really shouldn't be taking photos of documents. It's not professional, and it's hard to read. And then just not only that, if you go to print it, it's going to take up a lot of toner because it's reading it as a photo, which it's going to use so much more ink than you need to. So this here is PDFs. This is all templates interactive. Now, if you notice here, if you're main, you go to the main layer master. So we broke this down. So if you're a main agent, we don't want you to have to look through all of these Rhode Island forms, Connecticut forms, New Hampshire forms. So here in Maine, you have all of the main forms, and you can look at it this way. You can type in offer transaction. So I don't know what you call your offer in Maine. So you'd have to do it by what we put it in here. But if you don't know the legal name, you can scroll down through here and find it, whatever it is. Check off what it is. It'll add it to your loop. So that is the two, but I love this. Now, a lot of agents don't use this, and I love this feature. So we get a lot of complaints that if an agent sends you a offer in Dotloop and you open up their offer, you've now created two loops with the exact same name. You have your offer, your loop as the listing agent, and now you have a loop in there called 123 North Main Street. That is the buyer agent's loop. We do ask that you never work out of somebody else's loop. So if you're a buyer and you send or you're a listing agent and somebody sends you an offer and you haven't created your loop yet, please do not work out of the buyer agent's loop. Create your own loop, okay? That you should only work out of your loop. So how do you avoid making duplicate loops? And this is how you're going to do it. I'm going to show you how to do it. So because Dotloop has a built-in email system built into Dotloop, every single loop you create has its own email address that will drop PDFs directly into your loop from your email. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Because Dotloop has a built-in email system, it will, every loop you create has an email address that will drop in any PDF into your loop. So I'm going to show you how to do that. First thing you need to do is I want to put this offer. I have a backup offer in here. So, but it's in my email. So I'm going to go into my backup offer folder and I'm going to add this directly, that PDF into here. So you need to copy this. That's the email address that will take a PDF that's attached to your email and drop it directly into this loop without making a duplicate loop. So now you're going to go to your training. Here's an offer. Here's the offer that you got notified. Here's Peter Marino, my agent, and here's his offer. What you're going to do is I am going to forward this email that Peter Marino sent me, and I am going to paste that email address that's going to drop this PDF directly into it. Remember what it says. It says offer from Peter Marino. I'm going to forward that to myself. And so now I'm just going to go, I put that in there. You're just going to go down here and you're sending that. Now what you're going to see is it's going to drop this PDF directly into my loop right here under backup offers. And it's not going to make a duplicate loop. What you need to do is you just need to refresh the page. There it is. There's Peter's offer, and it's in backup offer. Now, if you added it to the wrong folder, you can move it to whichever folder you want. So I can move it to that one or move it back up here. All you do is hold on it and drag. Hold and drag to move it where you want it. Now, these are your backup offers. If you want to change, so I'm going to do that again. I want to add the lead paint. I'm going to go back to here because I believe in my thing I have a lead paint. Here's a lead paint. So I have a lead paint. This is lead paint document. You're a buyer agent. You get the lead paint off of the listing and you want to add this to your loop. What you're going to do is you're just going to forward this to the loop again. I'm just going to paste that in there. And I'm going to forward this lead paint into my loop. Very easy. I'm going to go over here. I am going to refresh the page. Hold on, I'll refresh the page. Takes a little time sometimes. Okay, so there it is. This is the lead paint that I just uploaded. So you can rename something. So if you go over here to the three dots, you can just rename this. We're going to rename this lead paint. Just highlight and then type in what it is. Okay. So we've gone over how to add a folder into a loop and how to make a new folder and how to add the three ways you can add documents to a folder. Again, nobody uses this hardly ever. What this one is going to be your best friend. You will not have duplicate loops. I would highly recommend. Very easy what to do. Again, and this is being recorded. So I'm just going to keep going because I'm running out of time here. So now we have the lead paint here from the seller. Let's just pretend this is one of the biggest problems we have here is a lot of times we cannot read, the compliance team can't read where you have these checked off. So we're gonna pretend, let's just pretend that these are not there. And now your buyer has to fill this out. So the seller says there's no knowledge and there's no reports. So now your buyer has to fill these out. So if there's no knowledge and no reports, D, E, and F need to be initialed and I or double I needs to be checked. So we're going to go over to add. You're going to add a checkbox. I mean, an initial. Add an initial. Now, if you notice when I put this here, this is taking up two spaces. We can't tell if D or E is going to be initial. So what we're going to do is if you just take your cursor and drag it till you get the two arrows, just like that. If you hold and drag, you can size that where you want it. And then you hit assign the field, and we're going to assign Mary to, we're going to pretend Mary's now our buyer. So I'm going to show you how to do that again. You're going to add an initial. You're going to drop it where you want. You're going to get the two arrows and then drag and then assign. Okay. And we'll do it again one more time. Because what if you have two? What if we have two people, two buyers and two buyers? You can take this, put it right next to it. You can drag it. I can make this smaller. You can move it over just like that. And you're going to assign it to the other person. Now, of course, we need signatures. So you're going to add a signature where your buyers would, where the seller. Now, again, if I put this here, it's covering up purchasers. So you get those two arrows. You just get that. We can assign Mary to sign that. Make sure, please, that your complete address is down here. On that as well. We're going to save these. So I just wanted to go on how you shrink how to add text boxes, or, there's a bunch of things you can add signatures, text boxes, taxes, dates, check boxes, because you're going to need this because your client needs to check either I or double I, and you can even check that for them. How do you like that? And you're going to save it and then you'll share it. So I really like to go over that. That's really important because that's a number one reason of why things are not approved in Dotloop. So I want to go over that. I am running out of time. So I want to go down to the people section. Everybody needs their own email address. So husband and wives, you cannot do electrical signatures without everybody having their own email address. Wanted to go over that. I also wanted to go over that sometimes when people sign things here, they need a proof. If you go to these three dots here, they need signature verification. So let's see, there was an extension or a price increase, and now underwriting needs signature verification. There's two ways you can do that. If the client has signed it already under the three dots, you can just click signature verification. And what it does is you can view the document and then download it and print it or send it to whoever you want. You could do it that way. I also want you, I always do this. I also want you to know another way of getting it when you open up a signed document. On the very top, that'll also give you signature verification. You can view the document, and from viewing the document right here, you can download it, and then you can send it on its way. It's just downloading it right now. But if you download it, then you can go to the email and you can email them, or you can just share it. So another way of doing it is you could just share this document directly with them. So let's see. So say, okay, we need to send this to underwriting. We're going to share it. You just add the person because you can add people. So, but if you had the underwriter in your people section as an underwriter, it would be there and you would just check him off. So that adding people to the people section and adding the rows is vital, 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 vital. So I do want to show you how the Dotloop team is going to communicate with you. Our compliance team is going to communicate through you right through this email system. Now, Mary Glavy is our client. I am the agent. So you have to click on who you want to send. Hello, Mary. Did you sign the extension so I can send this to her? And now all of my communication with Mary is going to be right here. Remember, please remember to click who you want to send the email to. Okay. So she's going to tell you, oh, I didn't sign it. Yes, I said. So this is how Dotloop is going to say to, like, Dotloop team would talk to me and say, hello, Dotloop. I have resubmitted my loop for review. Let me know if you need anything else. So I'm sending that now to the Dotloop team. So that's how they're going to communicate with you. Now, I want to go over this activity log because this is why attorneys are accepting this Dotloop signature, because under everything that you ever do in a loop, it's recorded. It records when you look at something, when you add a document, when you sign a document, when you submit for review. It tells everything right here. There's a time stamp. It tells you, and that's why the attorneys are accepting this, is because of this activity log. Now, when you're in the loop and you have the loop open, it's only going to give you the activity log just for that loop. Okay. So it tells you everything here. This is also really good if you're an agent and you know you sent lead paint to the buyer agent, but they're saying they never got it. You can see what day you sent it on, even what time, and you can see if they even opened it. It'll say buyer agent Lisa opened up or viewed the document. So it's very good to do that. Now, if you're at your dashboard with all of your loops right here in front of you, there is activity log that's going to give you everything on every loop that you ever did. It's going to break it down by address. So if you ever want to see something that you ever done, you go to your dashboard and you hit activity log on your dashboard, and that's going to give you everything that you did for all of these actual transactions. Now, I want to go over your dashboard because there's a filter system here. So you can filter what you see. If you're a very busy agent and you're very good on your paperwork and you only want to see your active and you're under agreement, if you check those off and you hit apply, you're now only going to see statuses that are under agreement and active. So that's very important. Remember, in the beginning of my training, I said to make sure as you go along in the transaction, you're changing the status from active to under agreement to sold. Okay. Because if you use the filter and you only want to see your under agreement or active, you're never going to see your solds. You're never going to see your pre listings. You're only going to see active and under agreement. Now, at the end of the year, if you may want to send a holiday card to just the people you sold in this year, if you hit sold and hit apply, you're only going to see your solds, okay? And I want to say something here under status. If a transaction is gone from active listing to under agreement and sold, it always just says sold. You never archive a sold, something that's gone all the way through. You only archive things that have fallen apart. And the reason being is because if you wanted to send a, holiday greeting card, you could sort all of your loops by sold and then have by the click of a hand touch, you open up the loop, you go into the view details, and now you have all of your clients' information right there under your seller. Right here, there's their information. But if you archive them, you're not going to see it. So that status is very important. And to filter. Okay. If you're not very good at that, then you're probably going to want to just have everything unchecked and just have everything, seeing everything. Right now, I have this sorting by what I created. So my first one here is on the top, but you can create these you can sort your dashboard by all of these. Last updated, transaction price, listing date, expiration date, closing date, submitted for review date, contract agreement date, or agent name. We recommend creation date, and I have the most recent on top. But if you want to hit this arrow, it's going to give me my oldest one, 2013 on top. You'll have to scroll down. Again, I think it's better if you have your most recent ones on top. Now, this is the grid view, but you can also have a list view, which is this one, or you have an option of a compact view. My personal one is the grid view. I think it's better. So up here are your people section. This is where you would these are everybody, because this is the East Long Meadow office. So these are all my people in this, but it would list all of your people in that transaction. These are your templates, all of the templates, where to find forms. This here is where you would, if you hit my account, I wanted to go over this. And here's your profile, and this is where you can add your associations. So this is all the information for your phone number. If you fill this in one time, you'll never have to fill it in again. If you go to profiles, this is where you can add your office ID number, your broker's license number. You can add associations in here, so you can see right here, you would add like Maine you would add your association, so you could get all those updated forms will automatically be available for you. So you want that. You're going to want to put in maybe your company, where your office is. I would highly recommend this because you never have to add your license number again. So again, your phone number. So you're just going to go to your profile. You go to my account, and then you're going to go to profiles to fill in that. So you want to fill in your account settings and your profile settings. Okay. So I wanted to go over that. So I'm going to go back to my main loop. We're just about out of time, but I do want to take any questions. If anybody has any questions, just put it in the chat. And I am doing this training again in 2 weeks. So please tell your friends, because I promise you by taking this training, you're 70% proficient in Dotloop. And you're probably 90% proficient in Dotloop, more than a lot of Dotloop users out there. So again, I'm doing it, I think it's the 16th. If that's the Tuesday, it's either the 16th or the 18th. Again, I do trainings 2 times a month, but in the meantime, excuse me, if you run into a problem, just send your question to Happy Agent. They will assign all Dotloop questions to me. I will either call you or tell you how to do it. One quick thing I do want to say, because this does happen quite often, just hang in with me because this is one of the questions we get quite often, is you may have a required form and you have it in here, and you have it in here as a PDF. So it won't let you submit for review because it's a required document. But let's say you have the exclusive listing, you just uploaded it yourself as a hard copy PDF. All you have to do is take your signed PDF and drag it over whatever is required. It's going to give you a warning. I'm just going to do it like this. It's going to give you a warning that you're about to replace it. Say yes. Okay. So that's how you would take. So say you have a PDF of a listing agreement and you're going to submit your loop for review, but the purchase and sale or the exclusive right to list is in there signed by your clients, but you didn't use the interactive form through Dotloop, you uploaded it as a PDF. Just take your PDF, drag it over the required one that's saying it's required. It's going to give you a warning that you're about to replace your PDF with the required document, and you're going to say yes. And now it will allow you to submit for review. I did want to cover that. That's very important. Okay, that's it for now. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Thank you very much, Jonathan, for joining us, and everybody else. Until next time, happy looping. Just send all of your questions to to happyagent@larealty.com, and it'll be assigned to me. Until then, everybody, thank you for joining me, and we'll see you next time. Bye.